Hello, welcome to the Ask Dr. Be Good podcast, where we try to bring positive things that are going on in public education every week. Today we're going to talk about something that is special to the state of Texas, in that we are going to talk about discipline, but a different kind of discipline, the type of discipline that helps restore a child and the community instead of being punishment-based. So what is that type of practice? That is called restorative practice. It started in Canada, 1974, almost 50 years ago, and it really started in the justice system, the juvenile justice system. Because, frankly, what we had been doing, and I say we, it started in Canada, but the United States had the same lack of success with its juveniles, and that is that it did not change the behavior within the juvenile system while they were there enough that it impacted them in a positive way after they left. What the Canadians did was to use something else besides punishment to try to help a child see why what they were doing was harmful to the community and how to move away from continuing that harm. Today, we call it restorative practice. There's a phrase out there also in Texas, restorative justice. That's similar. It's a copyrighted term. So Texas Education Agency has asked us not to use that, and that's okay. We use many of the good social emotional practices around that leads to change in behavior with our young people. Let me give you a general what is restorative practice? Restorative practice is a social science that studies how to improve and repair relationships between people and communities. The purpose is to build healthy communities, increase social capital, decrease crime and antisocial behavior, repair harm, and restore relationships. The school setting is less about decreasing crime, although we do have some. It's not like being in a juvenile system. But really, it's more about working with antisocial behavior and repairing and the harm done to the school community or the classroom community, and then restoring the relationships that were harmed by that behavior. With us today, we have who? You want to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I am Gabrielle Wallace. I'm the Assistant Director at Legacy Preparatory Charter Academy.
In Mesquite?
In Mesquite.
And you focus on the secondary grades, but you do spend time in the elementary grades as well. And so talk a little bit about your understanding of restorative practice and how we've been using it on an everyday level at Legacy.
Well, as you said, we do use restorative practice to restore antisocial behavior on campus, whether it's a conflict between students or just a behavior that's disruptive in the classroom. On our campus, it's actually built into the schedule. So from 7:45 to 8 o'clock, teachers actually host a restorative circle with the class. It can be to resolve a conflict from the previous day, or it could be to check in with the students in their emotional state. And there's a variety of other topics they can talk about as well. And I think we have an example of.
So let me ask a few questions. Is that a daily expectation of teachers?
It is a daily expectation. It is even the expectation that an administrator join a circle when they can.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so do you get to join circles?
Yes, I do, especially on the elementary and sometimes on the middle school side. It's very interesting what you hear in a circle.
Are there much differences between a circle in the elementary and a circle in the secondary side?
More so getting students to be comfortable with circle is the main difference. So in elementary, they're very expressive. They want to tell their teacher everything. They want everybody to know what's going on. And in secondary, they're a little bit more reserved. They want to know that they can trust the circle and that the information's not going to leave that moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I can understand that, especially in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's huge trust building that needs to go on there. And one of the things that I failed to mention, and I want to make sure that I do, is that restorative discipline is something that we have brought to Legacy. This is our 3rd year. And we do it not only because it's the right thing to do, but frankly, the state of Texas has the expectation that districts will move towards that. Let's look at the TEA website, Texas Education website, under their Restorative Discipline Practice in Texas. And it says here that Restorative Discipline Practice, which is RDP, in Texas began in the fall of 2015. The Texas Education Agency partnered with the Institute of Restorative Justice and Restorative Dialogue at the University of Texas in Austin, at the School of Social Work, to participate in a statewide rollout. So again, there's that little bit of a different name, and it is copyrighted, but we use many of the similar social and emotional strategies that come from the UT Austin. A grant provided training to 10 of the 20 educational service centers and school districts in Texas. The first 10 service centers were selected based on the number of African American males that were suspended or expelled from school districts in that region. The training occurred in 2 parts. The first part included a 2-day administrator readiness training. The second part, a 5-day coordinator training. The remaining 10 regional service centers will receive the same training. So you see the time and effort and money that the state of Texas and TEA, Texas Education Agency, has put into this type of behavior training. It is their belief, and mine as well now, and I hope, Ms. Wallace, that you're there, that we need to train our adults to approach disciplining a child in a different way, in a way that is more social, emotionally appropriate. And so if you want to know more about the commitment done by the state of Texas and Texas Education Agency on restorative practice or restorative discipline, please check out that on their TEA website. So we do have a teacher that we were not able to bring her today due to her some health issues, but we were able to interview her and ask her about her experience in the classroom using daily circles. Hello, Ms. Kerbow. I have 2nd grade Roxanne Kerbow here from Mesquite, and she has a little bit of a voice issue, which is keeping her from being able to come on the podcast today. But certainly the input she has is so valuable around restorative practice that we wanted to try to eke out as much as we could from her before she goes to the doctor later today. So thank you for agreeing to at least be interviewed and let us ask you about your restorative practice experience.
Well, you're so welcome.
You have been doing restorative practice for 3 years.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about restorative practice and what you feel like it has done for your class and for your students and for you?
For the last 3 years, that was something I was learning too. In the beginning was hard because we as a teacher, sometimes it's hard to change our mind for something new. But we are the same as students, we're learning. That's our job, to learn. So I started investigating more and doing my classroom with them. The first month was hard, especially last year they have 27 students in my classroom. So trying to find a big place for everybody to be in a circle. That was something, so we moved tables, everything. In the beginning, for them was hard to express themselves. So I started asking questions. So how do you feel today? Or we have an issue, something. But after some days, they're the ones that start, you know what, Miss Kerbow, let's go talk about this. I have trouble with this problem. So what's interesting to see how when we started was that nobody wanted to talk, to the point that I was telling you, we need to stop because it was too long, the circle. So depending on the issue, sometimes the circle went more than 5 or 10 minutes. But see them express themselves, that's the part I really like. Because the kids, sometimes you have in the classroom kids that don't talk at all. But when they're in the circle, they're the first one to raise their hand to share.
Really?
So that was interesting to see how they're so quiet during math or during reading or during guided reading. But in the circle, they feel comfortable to share.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, that speaks well of you, because that means that you have made the circle a place they feel safe. Mm-hmm.
That was when in the beginning or every year, sometimes the first in the morning I tell them the rules. Remember, this is your safe place, and if you want to share, it's perfect. If you don't want to share, that's okay too. And I tell them, the one that you stay here in the circle, stay in the circle. So that's something they really like. If for any reason I was running late with something during the schedule, they're the first one. Miss Kerbow, circle time. So, okay, so let's go do it. So sometimes you stop during the day. If we have an issue after lunch or after special, I tell them, okay, let's go circle, so they know where to go. And they say, what was wrong? What happened during cafeteria? So it's like have a friendly conversation, because sometimes we forgot that they're kids and they have feelings and they really are overwhelmed with too much work in the classroom, and we really didn't pay attention how they feel. And that's the part I like about circles, the feeling part. And they really came along with that. And my class this year, they know, because last year they do it with Miss Chris too. So that's something I really like it. You go to one year to another.
So talk about the impact that circles have had on student relationships, student to student.
Yes, every year you have different group of kids. So last year I have a really strong personalities in the classroom. I went to the point that sometimes they're in one side of the classroom because they can't look at each other. So we start talking about doing a conversation in circles, and was around this year in December when I saw the change. When one of the students came to the classroom, I remember what was the last day before winter. And
this is last year.
Last year, and they struggled the first semester, like they're real rivals. And in December, he came up with a present for the other kid. So you know what, Miss Kerbow? He's going to be my best friend, because now I understand why he's like that, because he talked to me.
And these are second graders.
Second graders.
First semester second graders. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, so you can see they're more friendly. They're more help to the other kid. They like the word we're using all this in these 6 weeks is collaboration. So they start collaborating more. They're trying to help them finish their work, because they go to they stand up, we go to the table, and they have the conversation. Do you need my help? So it's like, okay, so I think I'm doing something good.
I think so too.
They have their own opinions and they go help. So I tell them, look, you're in second grade. I know sometimes it's hard to understand what they're going through, and sometimes maybe the kid or your friend, they're not listening to what you say, but you need to take time and talk to them and be friends and be tolerant. So that's a clue words in my classroom: collaboration, be tolerant. And the other word I start using in my classroom is empathy, because I know we're kids, but we need to understand what we are.
You're right. When all else fails, be kind.
Yes, exactly. So that's what they say to me. That's the reason you like Dr. Seuss and Grinch, Miss Kerbow, because you like everybody to be kind. I go, yes. So that's an important word too.
Would you ever stop using restorative practice?
No. Especially if we start science, they're little ones. They gonna grow up to be better people to understand our society sometimes. Sometimes it's hard for them. Sometimes you can see in the faces they're coming with the trouble from the house. So when circles, you had the opportunity to change that denominator in the classroom. Sometimes in the morning in the line you see the struggle, so you bring the issue in the circle and they change. So I really like it. I really like the conversation with them. I think if we be honest as a teachers, I think when you're in circle, it's the time you can have to talk to them, because sometimes during the day you can.
Sure, it's all about instruction.
Yeah. So,
you're right.
So
now,
that's what I like.
This is the start of our third year. Do you see kids coming in already comfortable in the circle? I think your first grade team is pretty good about doing them.
Yes. So they know what I mean. I saw the different. I can see the different when it's a new student.
Oh yeah.
Because they say, "Well, we need to get together. What are we talking about?" But when it's a student there for kindergarten, or in my case, coming from kindergarten, second grade, because this group, they start in kindergarten.
Right.
So they're comfortable. But the new ones, that's the one that struggle more.
And that's a good measurement piece for us, is, kids who have done it for 3 years versus kids who have never done it. It's a good way of remembering why this is so important.
And now they're the hook with the circle chime. So you can see they're growing. And for us, they help you see how the day gonna look like. Or what do you expect for that kid on that day. So I really like it. And for me, sometimes, in my case, I'm really like everything in the certain way. Sometimes it's hard when something new come out. Especially I do it sometimes in the house with my husband too. So I implement that too. So I really like it.
You use restorative practice at home, huh?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we need it.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Ms. Kerbow.
You're welcome.
Even though I appreciate you coming on, even though your voice is a little bit not 100%, but your input was too valuable not to have.
No, you're so welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Kerbow, again. So, Ms. Wallace, is there anything you wanted to add about what she said?
Yes, and I think it's so interesting that she says she uses it at home, because I've had another teacher say they're using it with their own children. So it is something very positive for children that adults are recognizing. I also wanted to mention about when she was talking about the student to student and it becoming more comfortable or friends afterwards. As an administrator, I have conflict resolution circles with students. So if they've had a little disagreement, I'll take them aside and we'll have our own circle. And I've had second graders become friends right after that circle. They were just arguing, and then later on in the week, I see that they're friends. So I think that's a really interesting positive effect that we're seeing from circle as well. In secondary as well, I've had young ladies in middle school have a argument, and it was kind of starting to spill over to social media. So the teachers were aware. So I brought the young ladies into a circle, and they were able, at the end of that circle, to have a healthy mutual respect for each other, to the point where a mother, unrelated to the students, requested for me to have a circle with her child and another student. So it's something that is spreading in our culture and into our community.
And that's exactly what we want to have happen. Never fast enough, but thank you for making it happen. What do you see as the biggest obstacles in restorative practice?
One of the biggest obstacles I see is just that it's a new way of thinking. And so it's getting people to understand that this is a different generation, and it's a healthier way of thinking. And so sometimes people are so used to the old way and how it used to be, and having that zero tolerance policy. And so it's hard to get people to say, okay, I'm going to stop first and have a conversation with the student or use circle practices.
Right. One of the things that I've seen over the last well, this is our third year, so really 2.5 years, is the adults and how hard it is for the adults to embrace the theory of helping kids see the harm that they're doing to the community through that behavior practice versus automatically wanting to punish them. And so have you been to the restorative practice training on not suspending?
I did read a book over it, and then I actually went to the National Restorative Conference where a district spoke about, it wasn't about not suspending, but they were using it to avoid students from going to alternative school. And they had a committee, they got teachers on board, administrators, parents on board, and so they were able to significantly reduce the amount of students going to alternative placement.
And that's the whole point of this. It really is. So what would you like to see happen for the rest of this year and beyond as far as the commitment to restorative practice for your teachers?
I think a lot in education we talk about a growth mindset, so just encouraging that amongst the teachers, especially when it comes to restorative practices. And I want them to remember these are our future doctors and lawyers and customer service workers, and we want them to understand how to have those accountable conversations. So it would be great to see teachers just take it into their own hands and make sure that they're consistent with it.
Well, it's ironic, but one of the ironies that I see in especially our secondary teachers not using restorative practice is that they then don't get the relationship built before the misbehavior. And because that relationship's not built, the default behavior on the teacher's part is punishing.
Right. And I've even seen with some of our, for lack of a better word, tougher teachers, they actually tried the restorative discipline or practice because they were seeing the wall being built between them and the students. And now they show me their talking pieces and their guidelines, and then they've built relationships with some of the students in their classroom that they have had the toughest time with. So it is something, if it's implemented and it's consistent, that can help build those relationships.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you for leaving me with hope around that. Because this isn't going away. We know that it won't. First of all, it's the right thing to do. It's a right approach for our children. It works with all kids, although it was started because of our not being successful with kids of color. And so being able to have a practice that has been used for almost 50 years with kids even in the juvenile system, why would we not want to embrace it, right? So we need to get better at valuing it first, and that's hard for some of our more traditional teachers, and valuing it through using it. So I encourage you to continue praising those teachers who use it, encouraging those who come to you complaining about a child, and then you saying, have you been doing restorative circles? Because I'm sort of surprised you're having that trouble. And having the expectation that all teachers will do restorative circles on a daily basis so that they can have success with this too. All right, well, we have come towards the end of our podcast. We certainly hope that you have learned at least a good understanding about what restorative practice is, why we use it, and if you want to know more about restorative practice, please feel free to reach out to Miss Wallace. Her email is gwallace@legacypca.com. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ask Dr. Be Good show. For more information on Legacy Preparatory Charter Schools, visit our website, legacypca.com, or call 469-249-1099. And remember to like us on Facebook, where we stream live weekly Tuesdays at 3 p.m.